Safe is comfortable, but comfort never changed a life. Safe is predictable, but predictability never built greatness. When you live your life choosing what feels safe, what feels familiar, what feels easy, you rob yourself of the opportunity to grow. Growth never happens in comfort. You don't get stronger lifting the same weight over and over again. You grow when you add resistance. You grow when you step into unfamiliar territory, when you stretch beyond what's comfortable, when you choose the hard road over the easy one. Most people are living below their potential, not because they lack talent or ability, but because they've chosen safe. They've chosen to stay where it's familiar, even though their spirit is crying out for more. Safe will trick you into believing you're doing well just because nothing is going wrong. But let me tell you something. Just because nothing is going wrong doesn't mean everything is right. Safe has a way of numbing you. It makes you comfortable with being average. It makes you content with just surviving when you were meant to thrive. Safe tells you, don't take that risk. What if you fail? But that same voice never asks, what if you succeed? What if stepping out of that comfort zone is the key to unlocking everything you've ever wanted? What if the discomfort is the doorway to your destiny? The people who become legends, the people who make history, the people who inspire generations, they didn't do it by choosing safe. They did it by embracing risk. They did it by taking chances when the odds were stacked against them. They did it by walking into uncertainty with faith. With faith. Playing it safe is the fastest route to regret. Years from now, you don't want to look back and realize that the only thing standing between you and your greatness was your refusal to leave your comfort zone. You don't want to live a life full of what ifs, full of I could have. I should have, I should have, wish I had. Growth is painful. It challenges your limits. It forces you to confront your weaknesses, your fears, your excuses, but that's where transformation happens. That's where you discover who you really are. You don't find strength in comfort. You find it in adversity. You don't discover your courage sitting on the sidelines. You discover it in the middle of the fight. Safe as a cage. And the longer you stay in it, the smaller your vision becomes. But when you step out, even if it's scary, you begin to see what you're really capable of. You were not put on this earth just to play it safe. You were not born to blend in, to fit the mold, to live a life dictated by fear. You were created to be bold, to be courageous, to pursue purpose with everything inside of you. But you can't do that when you're clinging to comfort. Every time you say yes to safety, you say no to growth. Every time you choose easy, you're saying no to your evolution. If you want more out of life, you have to do more. You have to push past the resistance. You have to get uncomfortable. You have to do what most people are unwilling to do. That's the price of greatness. You don't need permission to chase your dreams. You don't need a guarantee. You don't need a safety net. You need faith. You need grit. You need to trust that you were given a vision for a reason and that it's worth the risk. Fear will always be there. It's part of the process. But you have to stop letting fear drive your decision. Safe might protect you from failure, but it also protects you from success. It might shield you from pain, but it also shields you from purpose. You've got to stop letting the fear of the unknown keep you locked in the ordinary. You were made for more. Deep down, you know it. You feel it every time you think about the life you want to live, the impact you want to make, the goals you've been too afraid to pursue. That feeling, that fire, that's your calling. That's your higher self pulling you forward. Don't ignore it. Don't silence it. Don't bury it beneath excuses and fears. Honor it. Follow it. Let it guide to the safe zone and into the place where growth lives. It won't be easy. You'll doubt yourself. You'll fail. You'll get knocked down. But every step you take away from safe is a step toward the best version of you. Every time you choose courage over comfort, you build resilience. Every time you take a risk, you expand your limits. Life isn't about playing it safe. Life is about becoming everything you were created to be. And that version of you, the one who rises, who leads, who lives fully. That version of you is waiting on the other side of safe. Playing it safe is the fastest way to live a life of mediocrity. You might think you're doing the right thing by staying in your lane, following the rules, avoiding the risk, and sticking to what you know. But that mentality will keep you average. That mindset will rob you of the greatness buried inside of you. Nobody ever became exceptional by doing what was expected. Nobody made history by staying comfortable. The people who break records, who shift culture, who leave legacy, they all have one thing in common. They refuse to settle. They didn't play it safe. They didn't aim to just get by. They went after something bigger than themselves, even when it scared them. They risked it all to live fully, to lead boldly, and to stand out. Mediocrity is crowded because it's easy. It doesn't require courage. It doesn't ask much from you. You can slide into a life of mediocrity without even realizing it. It's subtle. It disguises itself as practicality, as logic, as being realistic. But it's really just fear in disguise. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of standing alone. And if you're not careful, that fear will lull you into a life that's comfortable, but deeply unfulfilling. You weren't built to be average. You weren't born just to survive, pay bills, and die. You were created to dominate in your purpose, to rise up and make an impact, to become someone the world remembers. Every time you choose the easy way out, every time you take the familiar path, you are making a decision to shrink. You are voting against your own greatness. You are choosing to remain the same. And that choice has consequences. That choice kills potential. That choice delays purpose. That choice disconnects you from what you could be. Safe is a trap. It lures you in with comfort, then keeps you stuck with fear. It convinces you that playing small is smart. But deep down, you know better. You feel it every time you settle. You feel it when you say yes to something you don't really want. You feel it when you stay quiet instead of using your voice. That feeling inside you, the tension, the uneasiness, that's your spirit rejecting mediocrity. That's your soul saying, we were meant for more than this. You have to get bold. You have to get dangerous with your vision. You have to be willing to take chance, even if it means failing. Because failure is not the enemy, fear is. Playing it safe might keep you from failing, but it also keeps you from flying. It keeps you from discovering just how powerful you are. Greatness isn't reserved for the lucky or the talented. It belongs to the ones who refuse to settle. The ones who keep going when it's hard. The ones who choose purpose over popularity. The ones who are willing to stand alone if it means standing in truth. You're not going to find fulfillment by doing what everyone else is doing. If you want a life that's extraordinary, you have to be willing to be different. You have to be okay with being misunderstood. You have to accept that not everyone will support you. Not everyone will believe in you, and that's okay. This journey isn't about making everyone else comfortable. It's about becoming who you were meant to be. And that requires courage. That requires discomfort. That requires stepping out of the safe zone and into the unknown. That's where growth happens. That's where transformation begins. The cost of greatness is high, but the cost of settling is higher. When you settle, you don't just lose opportunities. You lose pieces of yourself. You start to forget who you are. You start to dim your light to fit into spaces you were never meant to belong. You start living for approval instead of living for purpose. And over time, you become a version of yourself that's unrecognizable, not because you changed for the better, but because you stopped growing altogether. Playing it safe doesn't just affect your career or your goals. It affects your identity. It affects your spirit. It changes the way you show up in the world. You have to make a decision. Do you want to fit in or do you want to stand out? Do you want comfort or do you want legacy? You can't have both. If you're serious about making an impact, about reaching your potential, about doing something meaningful with your life, you have to let go of safe. You have to let go of the need to be liked. You have to stop waiting for permission and start giving yourself the freedom to be great. The world doesn't need more people who play it safe. The world needs people who are brave enough to be real, bold enough to dream big, and strong enough to do the hard work it takes to make those dreams real. You already have everything you need inside of you. The potential, the power, the purpose is all there. But it won't come alive until you decide to stop playing small, until you choose risk over routine. Your dreams are not random. They're not meaningless. That vision that keeps tugging at you, the one that won't leave you alone, that's purpose trying to get your attention. That's your calling speaking louder than your excuses. But to reach it, to bring it to light, you're going to have to go through something. You're going to have to face fear, not once, not twice, but over and over again. Your dreams live on the other side of fear, and the only way to get to them is to walk straight through the very thing you're trying to avoid. Most people never achieve their dreams, not because they aren't good enough, but because they aren't bold enough. They let fear paralyze them. They let doubt convince them to play small. They listen to that inner voice that whispers, what if it doesn't work? Instead of asking, what if it does? You have to understand that fear will never completely disappear. It doesn't matter how talented you are, how experienced you become, or how big your vision is. Fear will always show up, especially when you're about to step into something greater. It shows up to test your hunger. It shows up to see if you're serious. You don't conquer fear by avoiding it. You conquer fear by walking into it and proving to yourself that it doesn't control you. The only way to reach your dreams is to face what scares you and do it anyway. It's about doing the hard thing, the uncomfortable thing. The uncomfortable? The thing that might make you stumble, but will definitely make you stronger. Some of you are standing on the edge of something powerful. You can feel it. You know there's more inside of you. But every time you get close, fear talks you out of it. Fear tells you you're not ready, you're not qualified, you're not smart enough, not connected enough, not talented enough. And the more you listen, the further you drift from your destiny. Fear's job is to keep you stuck, to keep you average, to make sure you never discover how powerful you actually are. But you've got to stop letting fear win. You've got to get to a point where your dreams are louder than your doubt, where your hunger outweighs your hesitation, where your faith is bigger than your fear. You can't tiptoe toward your calling. You can't halfway chase your vision. You've got to go all in. That means showing up when it's hard. That means speaking up when your voice shakes. That means moving forward even when you don't have it all figured out. Most people want confidence before they start, but confidence doesn't come first. Courage does. You earn confidence by doing the scary thing, by failing, getting back up, by showing yourself that you're more capable than you thought. You don't need all the answers. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need to start. You need to take the first step, even if it's shaky, even if it's small. Because momentum is what builds belief. Action is what silences fear. The truth is, everything you want is just outside of your comfort zone. You're not going to find it doing what you've always done. You're not going to grow by repeating the same safe routine day after day. Growth demands discomfort. It demands sacrifice. It demands that you trade in short-term ease for long-term elevation. And yes, there will be setbacks. Yes, there will be rejection. Yes, you will fall. But that's part of the process. Every fall teaches you something. Every no builds your resilience. Every failure is a lesson in disguise, shaping you into someone who can handle the blessing you're praying for. Fear makes you think you need to wait until the fear goes away before you begin. But the reality is, you need to begin while the fear is still there. You need to move while your hands are still shaking. That's how you build the muscle. That's how you get stronger. You don't wait to feel fearless. You act despite the fear. And over time, you'll realize fear was never the enemy. It was just a signal that you were on the right path. Because if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. If your vision doesn't stretch you, it's not purpose. It's just comfort in disguise. You've got one life, one shot at this. And every day you wait. Every day you let fear dictate your decisions. You're losing time you can't get back. Your future doesn't need a more cautious version of you. It needs the bold you, the brave you, the one who stops overthinking and starts taking action. The one who shows up, even when it's hard. The one who understands that fear is not the end. It's the beginning of transformation, the beginning of purpose, the beginning of a life that's fully lived. No one else can walk this path for you. No one else can fight your fears, chase your dreams, or fulfill your purpose. That's your responsibility, and you got what it takes, but you got to be willing to go through the fear to get to the freedom, to go through the discomfort to find the destiny. Because your dreams are waiting for you. Faith is the fuel that keeps you moving when everything around you tells you to stop. So it carries you when the results don't line up with the effort. It's what anchors you when life throws everything it has at you. There will come a point in your journey where logic won't be enough. You'll look at your situation, it won't make sense. The math won't add up. The progress won't match the pain. The opportunities won't match the effort. And in those moments, you have to choose. Will you let fear write your story, or you let faith lead the way? Fear screams. It reminds you of everything that could go wrong. It shows you all the ways you failed before. It exaggerates the obstacles and minimizes your power. Fear will convince you to play it safe, to shrink, to wait until you have it all figured out. But faith whispers. Faith tells you to keep going even when you can't see the finish line. Faith reminds you that you're not alone, that there's purpose in the pain, that there's breakthrough on the other side of obedience. Faith is not a feeling, it's a decision. It's the decision to keep walking when the road is dark. It's the decision to keep showing up when you're tired. It's the decision to believe in something greater than your current circumstance. You're not always going to have the luxury of clarity. You won't always see the path laid out in front of you. Sometimes all you'll have is one step, one move, one open door, and that's where faith kicks in. Faith doesn't ask you to see the whole staircase. It just asks you to take the first step. That first step might be the scariest, but it's also the most powerful. It's you saying, I trust the process even when I don't understand the outcome. It's you saying, I believe there's something on the other side of this pain. And when you walk by faith, you stop being controlled by what you see. You start living based on what you believe. You stop reacting to circumstances and start responding with conviction. It's easy to have faith when things are going your way. It's easy to believe when the doors are opening, when the money is flowing, when the people are supporting you. But real faith is tested in the fire. Real faith shows up when the doors close, when the results stall, when the support fades. That's when you find out who you really are. That's when you decide if your faith was conditional or unconditional, if your belief was based on convenience or conviction. And if you can hold on to faith when everything around you says, quit, that's when you become unstoppable. Don't confuse silence for absence. Just because you're not seeing results doesn't mean the process isn't working. Sometimes growth is happening in the dark. Sometimes the transformation is underground. Seeds don't sprout the moment they're planted. They need time. They need pressure. They need patience. And so do you. You need to give your dreams time to grow. You need to trust that the foundation you're building, even if it feels slow, is strong enough to hold the weight of what you're praying for. The waiting season isn't wasted, it's working. And faith is what helps you stay grounded through the wait. There will be moments when doubt creeps in, when you start questioning everything, when the temptation to give up feels overwhelming. In those moments, you need to go back to your why. You need to remind yourself why you started in the first place. You need to remember the fire that pushed you to begin. Faith isn't the absence of doubt. It's the decision to believe in the face of doubt. It's standing tall with shaking knees. It's speaking life into your situation, even when the world is speaking fear. It's declaring victory before you see the breakthrough. There's going to be pressure. People will question your path. They'll tell you to be more realistic. They'll try to shrink your dreams to fit their own limitations. But your journey isn't about their opinions. It's about your assignment. And your assignment requires faith. It requires you to walk boldly even when the way isn't clear. It requires you to keep building when no one's clapping, to keep climbing when no one's watching, to keep believing even when it looks like nothing's happening. Because faith sees what's possible when fear only sees what's probable. Faith says, this may not make sense now, but I trust that it will make sense later. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to have a flawless plan. You just need to have faith that what's meant for you won't miss you, that the delay is not denial, that every closed door is redirection, that every failure is a lesson, and every loss is setting you up for a win. If you can hold on to that kind of faith, you'll go further than talent ever could. You'll go further than talent ever could. You'll break barriers that fear tried to build. You'll unlock doors that playing it safe could never open. So keep believing, keep pushing. The world doesn't need another person playing it safe. It doesn't need another voice repeating what's already been said. It doesn't need someone shrinking themselves to fit into boxes they were never meant to fit in. The world is starving for authenticity, for power, for boldness. And that boldness is already inside you, that voice, that idea, that gift, that story. It's not just for you. It's meant to shake something loose in others. It's meant to wake people up. But as long as you stay quiet, as long as you sit back and play it safe, the world is missing what only you can offer. You don't have to look like anyone else. You don't have to speak like anyone else. You don't need to wait until it's perfect or until you have more experience, more followers, more degrees, more validation. You don't need permission to be powerful. What you need is the courage to show up as you are, because you are enough. Your story, your truth, your journey, that's enough. Not the polished version, not the filtered version, but the real you. The world needs that version. The one who's been through some things. The one who's still figuring it out but refuses to give up. The one who's willing to be seen even when it's scary. We've been conditioned to play small, to avoid standing out, to not ruffle feathers, but playing small never served the world. It never changed life. It never healed pain. Playing small only keeps you in rooms you've outgrown. It keeps you seeking approval when you were built to lead. Keeps you editing your light because someone else is uncomfortable with your shine. But the truth is, your light was never meant to be dimmed. It was meant to shine in dark places. It was meant to bring clarity, to bring hope, to bring healing. You don't serve anyone by being less of who you are. You've got a fire in you. Maybe you've tried to ignore it. Maybe you've been told to tone it down. Maybe life hit you so hard, you started to doubt it was ever there. But it is. And it's time to fan the flame. It's time to stop shrinking to fit environments you've outgrown. It's time to stop lowering your volume to make people more comfortable. It's time to stop pretending like you don't know who you are. Deep down, you know you've always known, but fear has a way of convincing you to forget. Fear tells you it's safer to stay hidden, safer to follow the crowd, safer to be liked than to be real. But fear is a liar. It promises safety, but it delivers regret. There's someone out there who needs your story. Someone who's struggling with what you've already survived. Someone who needs the raw, unfiltered truth of what it took to get through what you got through. But if you keep it to yourself, they stay stuck. If you hide your light, they stay in the dark. You're not just holding back your potential, you're holding back someone else's breakthrough. Your courage becomes someone else's permission. Your voice becomes someone else's roadmap. Your truth becomes someone else's healing. You were never meant to just exist. You were meant to lead, to elevate, to transform. That doesn't mean it won't be hard. It will. You'll have to fight through insecurity, through doubt, through criticism, through loneliness. You'll have moments where it feels like no one sees you, where it feels like it's not working, where it feels like you're talking to a wall. But don't quit. Don't let the temporary silence convince you that your voice doesn't matter. It does. More than you know. The people who are meant to hear you, they're on their way, but they can't find you if you keep hiding. They can't connect with you if you keep pretending. They can't be inspired by you if you keep playing it safe. Everything you've been through, every loss, every setback, every detour, it's all part of your power. Nothing is wasted. Not one tear, not one trial, not one moment of pain. It all shaped you. It all refined you. It all made you who you are. And now the world needs that version of you. Not the one who's performing, not the one who's pretending, but the real, raw, unshaken version. The one who's willing to stand up and say, I've been through it, but I'm still here. That's power. That's power. That's strength. That's what the world needs. So stop waiting for the right time. Stop waiting for everything to make sense. Stop waiting for fear to go away. The world needs you now. Not tomorrow, not next year. Right now, it needs your truth, your fire, your passion, your voice. Because nobody else can be you. Nobody else can be you. Nobody else can do it like you. Nobody else has your fingerprint, your blueprint, your impact. And if you don't show up, the world loses something irreplaceable. You were not born to settle. You were not born to shrink. You were born to rise, to lead, to speak, to shine. So let them watch. Let them wonder. Let them criticize. But whatever you do, don't you dare play it safe. The world doesn't need a smaller version of you.